Lizzie, and today we'll be discussing 4 ways to accelerate your rum making process. So just to let you know that we're not doing any distilling since we're in Canada and it's illegal, and in some places of the US as well. So I'm just talking about the fermentation process. So number 1 is the yeast that you use. So there's a lot of yeast out there, and we have something called turbo yeast. So there is turbo yeast that's 24 hours, and it says it can yield up to 14% alcohol in a day and 20% alcohol in 5 days. Personally, I haven't used this one. It seems like one of those get-rich-quick schemes that's kind of fishy. So let me know in the comments below if you've used this 24-hour turbo yeast and if it actually gives you the amount of alcohol promised. I've tried turbo yeast, the 48-hour one. That's the one that's more typically used. It's still quick, and I never leave it for only 48 hours. I usually leave it longer, maybe for weeks, but that's just a personal preference. So the yeast that you use is very important, and the reason why turbo yeast is so quick is that it includes yeast nutrients in the package. This is not necessarily the only yeast that's available to use. If you want to use red yeast, daddy yeast, or wine yeast, you can also add yeast nutrients that you buy separately, or you could just use the yeast alone. It's just that when the yeast have nutrients, they become more active, and it's like they eat the sugar faster because they're happier. So that's number 1. You want to make sure that if you want to speed up the process, make sure you use the right yeast and that they have the right nutrients. The second way to accelerate your rum making process is the amount of sugar. So the more sugar you add, the longer it'll take for the yeast to eat them all. So if you want to make it quick, you want to add the least sugar as possible, but make sure that it's not disgusting. So make sure that you have a minimum amount of sugar depending on the recipe that you use. So I use certain recipes that I teach in my rum making class, and you want to make sure that you don't add too much if you're impatient and you want to drink it right away. The third way to accelerate your rum making process is the temperature. Your alcohol is going to get ready faster if it's warmer in the place that it's sitting. So you want to make sure that the yeast is not too cold, because the colder it gets, the slower the yeast gets to eat the sugar. And you want to make sure that it's not too hot that it kills the yeast. So optimally, the temperatures range from 22 to 27 degrees Celsius. So you want to keep it in that higher range to accelerate the process as much as possible. And so the yeast remains active and eats the sugar. The fourth way to accelerate the rum making process is once the fermentation is done and you want to clear the wash, you could put it in the fridge so the yeast goes down and you can have that top part that you can extract. Or you can use other clearing methods like turbo clear. I have another video on all the tips to clear your wash. You can take a look at that once you're done with this video. And if you're not sure when your fermentation is done, the easiest and fastest way to know is with your hydrometer. So as soon as it reaches 1.000, which is the gravity of water, you'll be able to tell that your rum is ready to drink. You can leave it from 24 hours. Usually people leave it for 3 days at minimum, and it can go until whenever. So if you want it to be in oak barrels, you can leave it for years even. Or if you've chopped some fruits and you want it to ferment with the alcohol juices, you can leave it longer. However, if you want your alcohol made quicker, then you can use these tips above. So I hope this helps. If you found this video valuable, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.